I think a lot of people, especially people who aren't artists, think that in order to be good at drawing the figure, you must know where every bone and muscle and tendon goes. But to me, really good figure drawing doesn't come down to that particular kind of knowledge, especially not in a visual storytelling context. What it comes down to is an understanding of the overall gesture of a figure in a particular pose. In this video, I want to go through some of my understanding of gesture drawing and how you might be able to apply it to your drawings to make your characters feel much more lively and believable. Hey, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Thomas Patilli. I'm a comic book artist and an illustrator. And if you find this video helpful in improving your drawing skills, please do hit that like button. And if you would like to see more videos like this, please consider subscribing to my channel. Okay, so I'm no master at figure drawing, but like all of us, I have a sort of natural sense of how to identify strong figure drawing versus poor figure drawing. And although art is subjective, I think a lot of us are really good at spotting the work that feels really strong, believable, and inviting over something that doesn't have the same air of liveliness and professionalism, even if we're not able to articulate exactly why. I think that's because good visual artwork, no matter what the style or medium, is made up of certain fundamental ingredients. And when one or more of those ingredients is missing, it's noticeable, even if you don't know why. For example, if the composition of a piece is strong and interesting, even a puppy can make a compelling piece of art. That really speaks to the importance of composition as far as I'm concerned, but more on that in a future video. As far as figure drawing goes, though, the fundamental ingredient is the gesture. What is gesture? Well, I can only give you my understanding of it. And that is that gesture is the most basic and simplified representation of a particular pose or posture. A gesture is often accomplished using sketchy, energetic lines, and usually less lines than more. It's the rough sketch that the more finished piece is built on. You can also look at it as being the soul of the drawing. It's sort of that invisible essence that the final drawing emanates out of. Because it's so foundational, if the gesture, the foundation, is off, the rest of the drawing will probably feel off as well. And oftentimes when people struggle with stiff figures and repetitive poses and postures, it's because of a lack of attention to the gesture. So, how do you improve your ability to capture the gesture when drawing the figure? Well, it's like anything else, you gotta practice. Whether you're drawing superheroes for comics, storyboards for animation, or any other kind of illustration, your knowledge of the figure and drawing it at different angles and different poses is gonna be very important. And although most of those drawings are gonna be made from your imagination, an understanding of how the figure moves in reality is necessary. Therefore, studying the live model is super helpful. Live model drawing classes have been instrumental for me over the years in terms of sharpening my figure drawing skills, especially in capturing gesture. But if you're too uncomfortable to draw in that kind of a setting, or don't have access to one, that's okay. I haven't been to one in a while either. In that case, photos have been a really great substitute. When picking a photo, go for the poses that may challenge you a bit. Poses that twist and turn the figure in dynamic and interesting ways. This is essentially what models in figure drawing classes try to do. Whether drawing from real life in a figure drawing class or drawing from photos, one of the best ways to improve your gesture drawings is to work under some sort of time restraint. When you're in a figure drawing class, for instance, often the very first half hour or more is made up of very fast poses, usually starting at 20 to 30 seconds and slowly building up to 2 to 3 minutes. This is specifically designed to encourage you to focus on gesture. In 30 seconds, there's not much in the way of detail that you can actually accomplish. but you can totally capture the entire pose through the overall gesture. When practicing yourself using photographs, I recommend using this very technique. Start by giving yourself a very short time restraint to get the figure down, like 20 seconds, even 10 seconds. I assure you, this will frustrate you, and if you've never done it, it will feel impossible or even silly. Stick with it though, and with every few photo references, increase the amount of time until you get to like 3 to 5 minutes. The beauty of applying these time restraints on yourself is that after doing a handful of like 20-second quick poses, you start to get better and better at capturing the gesture and training your eye and hand to focus on the big shapes and the overall direction of the pose, instead of focusing on the little details right away. If you really remind yourself to keep up with that approach, even when the poses start to get longer, you'll realize that you can get the full gesture down in under a minute, leaving you the rest of the time to build up all the detail on top of it. Suddenly, a 3-minute pose can feel like an hour, and you'll feel like you have more than enough time to not only capture the gesture, but even some descriptive elements of the specific figure as well. The idea is that you don't only apply this kind of approach when practicing drawing from the model or from photographs, but that it sort of seeps into your overall approach when doing any other kind of drawing, even from your imagination. Think about it. If you're an illustrator or comic artist, the ability to quickly and effectively get your figures down on the page in quick gesture drawings can be very advantageous in helping you lay out your illustrations, comic pages, storyboards, whatever, in a clear way that evokes the energy and emotion of the story straight from the sketch, giving you a solid groundwork to build on top of. Now, when you're practicing your gesture drawings, you want to strive for accuracy, not perfection. Doing these quick gesture drawings is helpful in that it encourages you to move your eyes and hands faster than your analytical brain. So you want to get marks down on the page before your brain can question whether something is right or wrong. This often opens up the instinctual side to your approach and can create a very accurate interpretation of that figure, much to our own surprise sometimes. If, however, you don't get the pose right on the first go, don't worry, that just means you're like the rest of the 99.9% of us. The purpose of the quick gesture is to get the whole figure down on the page in the first pass, leaving you plenty of time afterwards to build on top of it, correcting with every additional pass. I call them passes, which just means every subsequent layer of detail that builds up from the gesture to final drawing. Every pass allows you to self-correct anything that might seem off as you go. This is why I recommend staying nice and loose with your gesture drawings. Keep it light and malleable so that you can just draw on top of it with every new pass. Also, the lighter you go, the easier it is to erase if you want to do that too. That leads me to supplies. When making gesture drawings, I like to use something that feels nice and glides on the paper easily. Remember, this stage of the drawing is much more about capturing the soul rather than the details. So you probably won't need anything super precise. I like a pencil that's on the slightly softer side, like a B or a 2B. An HB works fine too. You can go even softer or even lighter. Ultimately, it just comes down to your particular preference. Regardless though, I would focus on making your marks light and loose. Sometimes for gesture drawing and just sketching in general, it's nice to draw with a ballpoint pen too. It's a humble piece of supply, often reminding us of our school days doodling in notebooks. I think that aspect of it can really take the pressure off and make sketching like this a little less intimidating. For some of these examples, what I did was I sketched out the quick gesture in pencil, then I built up the detail on top with a ballpoint pen. Also, for one of these, I even broke out some marker. Using the same energy of the gesture, I blocked in some of the bigger shapes and shadows of the figure in gray, then defined it a bit more with the black, all while keeping my hand moving, not to lose the whole point of the exercise. Really, however you go about blocking in your figures is just a matter of preference. But the important thing to understand is the reasoning behind the gestures and why it's so important when drawing the figure. Anyway, I hope this gives you a quick overview of gesture drawing and why it's such an important ingredient for figure drawing. And if you're already familiar with gesture drawing and the purpose behind it, maybe this will act as a good reminder to just get that rough gesture down on the page before jumping into all the detail. As often as I draw the figure, this is still something that I forget to do as well. So reminders can be helpful for everybody, no matter what level of drawing you're at. Speaking of reminders, if you would like to remind someone that you know about the importance of gesture drawing, perhaps you can share this video with them if it's something that you think they might benefit from watching. Either way, I appreciate you watching. Leave a comment below. I would love to hear some of your thoughts or questions on gesture drawing. And until next time, thanks so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.